The rain was relentless, tapping like impatient fingers on the windowpanes of the small, unassuming house nestled on a quiet street. For over 6 years, Richard Satchwell's voice, thick with feigned despair, echoed through living rooms across the nation, his pleas for Tina's safe return as practiced as a well-rehearsed play. Yet beneath the polished guise of a devoted husband lay a truth as chilling as the damp air that clung to the town. His missing wife was not missing. The concrete stairs leading to the basement were both a path to Richard's daily routine and the silent guardian of a buried secret, trodden over with every step he took, each echo a haunting reminder of a life extinguished too soon. The world saw a man broken by his wife's absence, but in the shadows of their shared past, the truth simmered, a narrative waiting to unravel, exposing a tale of passion turned to possession and love twisted into something unrecognizable. The rain's relentless drumming on the window panes seemed to amplify the somberness of the house on the unassuming street. It felt as if the downpour was intent on washing away the veneer of normalcy that cloaked the home where Tina and Richard Satchwell once shared their lives. Despite the chill in the air, the neighborhood whispered with the warmth of community prayers, neighbors united in their belief in Richard's pleas for his wife's safe return. With each televised appeal, his voice trembled with what seemed to be genuine grief, a performance so masterfully crafted that it blurred the lines between reality and deception. The house, modest and unadorned, bore silent witness to the unfolding drama. Inside, every room held echoes of Tina's presence, a tapestry of memories woven into the fabric of their shared existence. From the racks of vibrant clothing upstairs, each outfit a testament to Tina's impeccable taste, to the small, cozy corners where she would curl up with her beloved pets, her essence lingered. Yet beneath the surface, beneath Richard's feet, lay a secret so deeply buried that it was easy to overlook amidst the mundanity of everyday life. Tina Satchwell, with her striking blonde hair and twinkling blue eyes, had once been a captivating presence in the town. Her warmth and vivacity drew people in, her laughter a contagious melody that resonated wherever she went. But beneath her bright exterior lay a complex tapestry of emotions and experiences. Raised in the verdant landscapes of County Cork, her life had been marked by revelations and reconciliations. Discovering the truth about her parentage, learning that her beloved grandmother was not her mother, had left an indelible mark on her. Yet, she had emerged resilient, channeling her passion into fashion and her love into her cherished pets. Her devotion to Richard seemed unwavering at first. Meeting him at the tender age of 17, she had been swept away by his adoration. Their love story, seemingly romantic, was one of fierce defiance against familial expectations and societal norms. Yet, beneath the surface of their union lay an unsettling undercurrent of isolation and possession. Richard, the lorry driver, was infatuated from the moment he laid eyes on her. His declaration that she was out of his league, his trophy wife, was both a compliment and a harbinger of his obsessive nature. His choice to sever ties with his family for her sake, an act of romantic defiance, was the first sign of a relationship defined by isolation. As the rain continued its melancholy serenade, Richard's practiced pleas echoed through the house, each word a hollow promise. Every step down the concrete stairs reverberated with the weight of his secret, a macabre dance with the truth that lay just beneath his feet. For the world outside, Richard's narrative of a devoted husband longing for his wife's return was almost too perfect to doubt, a mirage crafted with meticulous care. But in the quiet moments when the cameras were off and the world was not watching, the facade began to crack. His rehearsed tears, his fervent declarations of innocence, began to unravel, revealing glimpses of a darker truth. The truth that Tina, with her laughter and light, was no longer missing but entombed within the very foundation of their life together. In those early years of their marriage, Tina's spirit had danced freely, each step through life accompanied by the rhythmic beat of her own heart. Yet, as the years passed, the dance became a struggle, her vibrant spirit slowly consumed by the shadows of Richard's possessiveness. What had begun as a shared journey of love and discovery had twisted into a labyrinth of manipulation and control, leaving behind an echo of what could have been, a stark reminder of the fragile line between love and obsession. The gloom of Youghal seeped into every corner of Grattan Street, the misty air filling cracks in the cobblestones with a damp chill. The street was lined with houses that huddled together like weary secrets, each whispering tales of their own, a perfect setting for Richard and Tina Satchwell, who had sought refuge in anonymity here. The move from Fermoy to this obscure corner of the UK had been Richard's idea, a strategic retreat from the life they'd built, from prying eyes and probing questions. Richard's mind was a labyrinth of calculated thoughts, each turn and twist designed to maintain control over the narrative of his life. The knack of manipulation wasn't new to him. It was a skill honed over years, sharpened by the grindstone of petty crimes and the avoidance of consequences. His criminal record, a sordid history of deceit and theft, was a testament to his conviction that rules were mere suggestions, easily bent and broken. Tina's world, meanwhile, had shrunk to the confines of their home, her existence tethered to Richard's whims. Her laughter, once a symphony of freedom, had become a distant echo, stifled by the weight of isolation. The walls of their home closed in on her, each room a reminder of the dreams she once dared to hold. The morning of March 20th, 2017, began like any other in their meticulously controlled world. The chill of the morning air clung to the windows, and dew clung to the grass outside. Inside, Richard prepared breakfast with the precision of a man who reveled in routine, a ritual as much for his benefit as for Tina's. Tea, toast, fruit, and yogurt, the components of a meal that disguised the poison of control under the guise of care. When Richard left for Aldi, the air in the house seemed to shift, a silent acknowledgement of the tension that lingered beneath the surface of their life. The distance to Dungarvan was measured not in kilometers, but in moments of respite Tina longed for, a brief escape from the eyes that watched her every move. Yet, when Richard returned, the house was empty, the absence of Tina and her things echoing through the stillness. The void left behind was not just physical. It was a chasm filled with unanswered questions and unspoken fears. Richard's report to the Fermoy Garda station, as much a performance as any of his media appearances, was steeped in calculated indifference. His recounting of events was a tapestry woven with half-truths, each thread designed to obscure rather than reveal. In the weeks that followed, Richard transformed into the public face of a grieving husband, his media campaign a masterclass in manipulation. Each interview was an opportunity to control the narrative, to paint the picture he wanted the world to see. But beneath the surface, under layers of practiced emotion, there lay a man whose desperation was not for Tina's return, but for the maintenance of his carefully constructed illusion. Richard's voice, pleading on national television, had the quality of a rehearsed monologue, each word chosen for its impact rather than its sincerity. His eyes, when they met the camera, seemed to search not for Tina, but for validation of his own constructed reality. To those who watched, his performance was compelling. To those who knew him, it was chilling. The shadow of suspicion began to creep across the minds of those who listened, a whisper that perhaps not all was as it seemed in the Satchwell household. Yet, as the facade held, the whispers remained just that, shadows in the corners of a narrative still dominated by Richard's voice, a voice that sought to drown out the truth with its own relentless echo. The device, a cold shiver, crept up his spine. His hands hovered uncertainly over the keyboard as an unsettling realization dawned. This laptop held secrets that had languished in silence for far too long. The screen flickered to life, revealing a cluttered desktop filled with folders bearing innocuous names. House expenses, family photos, work projects. But one folder, buried deep within layers of digital camouflage, caught his attention. It was unassumingly titled Miscellaneous, a label that belied its importance. Inside, A series of documents and emails painted a chilling portrait of Richard's life that few had glimpsed. Among the mundane correspondences and invoices, Kelleher discovered drafts of emails never sent. Words that seemed to drip with disdain and thinly veiled animosity toward Tina. Tired of her constant whining, one entry read, "Can't stand another day of her drama," another declared. His heart raced as he scanned through message after message, each one a testament to Richard's growing frustration, his inner turmoil seething beneath a calm facade. The room was eerily silent, save for the soft hum of the computer and the faint rustling of papers as Kelleher sifted through the evidence. The air felt thick and oppressive, as though the truth itself was fighting to remain hidden, cloaked in the shadows of the past. Outside, a storm brewed, the distant rumble of thunder echoing the storm of emotions within the detective. But it was a series of internet searches that truly broke the case wide open. Richard had been meticulous, clearing his browsing history regularly, but fragments persisted. Searches on forensic techniques, the decomposition of bodies, and methods to elude detection. Each query was a dark breadcrumb leading to a truth Kelleher could no longer ignore. The rain began to patter against the windows, a steady rhythm that matched the pounding of his heart. The weight of these revelations was suffocating. The air turned cold despite the stifling summer heat. Kelleher sat back, his mind a whirl of possibilities and unspoken horrors. This wasn't just the story of a disappearance anymore. It was the tale of a meticulously planned, vanishing act, one that had nearly succeeded in its deception. With trembling fingers, he reached for his phone, the urgency of the moment crystallizing into a single, unyielding resolve. He needed to call Superintendent Amory Toomey. She had to see this, to understand the gravity of what they had uncovered. The truth was no longer a shadowy specter lurking in the periphery. It was a glaring light that demanded to be seen, to be acknowledged, and most importantly, to be acted upon. As the rain intensified, the storm outside mirrored the one within the investigation. This discovery was a fissure in the carefully maintained illusion Richard had woven, a fracture that threatened to unravel his entire narrative. The tension in the room was palpable, a living entity pressing against the walls, demanding resolution. Kelleher stood, the gravity of his task settling on his shoulders with a crushing weight. This was no longer just about finding Tina. It was about justice, about truth clawing its way out of the darkness. The case had taken a new direction, one that promised to reveal the depths of Richard's duplicity. With each step toward the future, the echoes of the past seemed to grow louder, the truth whispering through the corridors of time, demanding to be heard. As the call connected and Toomey's voice crackled through the line, the storm outside reached its crescendo, thunder crashing in a cacophony of defiance. And in that moment, the course of the investigation shifted, propelled by the relentless pursuit of truth. The air was thick with an oppressive sense of foreboding as the storm raged outside, a violent backdrop to the tumultuous revelations unfolding within the investigation room. Every crack of thunder seemed to punctuate the sinister discovery that had just come to light, an ominous sign that the very foundation of Richard's narrative was crumbling beneath him. The chilling detail of the search history on Richard's laptop was like a ghostly whisper from the past, echoing its way through the corridors of time. On a seemingly ordinary March night in 2017, mere days after Tina vanished into thin air, someone had delved into the dark corners of the internet, seeking knowledge on quicklime, a substance that might as well have been a harbinger of death. The YouTube video, watched twice, was a macabre tutorial on the chemical reaction between quicklime and water, a grim nod to its historical use in concealing the evidence of mortality. The atmosphere in the room was electric with tension, an invisible web that ensnared each investigator as they pored over the details. Every click of the mouse and tap of the keyboard resonated in the silence, almost as loud as the revelations themselves. Richard's carefully constructed facade was beginning to show its cracks, each new piece of evidence a chisel slowly prying it apart. Superintendent Toomey's voice, authoritative yet laced with an undercurrent of disbelief, sliced through the air like a scalpel as he laid out the contradictions that painted Richard into a corner of his own making. Mobile phone data, as cold and impartial as the technology from which it was extracted, betrayed Richard's lies about his whereabouts on the day in question. The digital footprints he left behind were a damning testimony against him. The truth emerging like a specter from beneath the surface, unyielding and undeniable. As the evidence mounted, the narrative shifted, a palpable change that stirred the very air around them. The mention of Sarah Howard in the freezer, a seemingly innocuous offer, was now a thread that wove its way through the tapestry of deceit Richard had spun. Each detail, once inconspicuous, now screamed for attention under the scrutiny of forensic science and dog police work. The decision to bring in Drive McCullough, a forensic archaeologist, was the final stroke of genius in a case that seemed determined to resist closure. Her recommendations, backed by decades of expertise, were a beacon in the murky depths of the investigation. The suggestion to employ ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs was a revelation, a light shining into the darkest corners of Richard's secrets. On that fateful October evening in 2023, the team descended upon Grattan Street, their resolve as unyielding as the storm that battered against the windowpanes. The presence of Fern, the Springer Spaniel with a nose for death, was a stark reminder of the gravity of their task. As she indicated the area under the stairs, a chill crept through the room, a silent acknowledgement that they were standing on the precipice of a horrifying discovery. The bricks, thrown together with amateurish haste, were a testament to Richard's desperate attempt to bury the past. As the jackhammers roared to life, shattering the silence and the new concrete alike, the dread in the air was almost palpable. When the black plastic sheeting emerged from the depths, an icy realization settled over the team. The subsequent uncovering of a human hand confirmed their worst fears. Tina Satchwell had never left the home she shared with Richard. Richard's arrest and subsequent cryptic response were but footnotes to the chilling saga that had unfolded. The narrative he wove anew, a desperate attempt to cast himself as the victim of circumstance, rang hollow against the backdrop of undeniable physical evidence. The truth, unearthed and undeniable, painted a picture of betrayal, of life snuffed out and hidden away under the very floorboards of what was supposed to be a sanctuary. As the forensic team meticulously cataloged Tina's remains, the weight of her tragedy hung in the air, a solemn reminder that justice, though delayed, would not be denied. Her story, silenced for 2,396 days, had finally been unearthed, demanding to be heard. The air in the courtroom was thick with anticipation as the trial of Richard Satchwell commenced in late April 2025. The Central Criminal Court in Dublin, solemn and imposing, became the stage for a drama that had unfurled over years of lies and hidden truths. Shadows danced across the room as the soft morning light filtered through the high windows, casting an ethereal glow on the faces of those gathered. Family, friends, and a curious public, all eager to witness the unfolding of justice. Richard Satchwell, a man whose demeanor was as cold as the concrete he poured over his wife's grave, sat impassively as the prosecution laid bare the chilling details of his deceit. The stark contrast between the gruesome narrative and Richard's stoic expression was unsettling. His eyes, dark and unfathomable, reflected none of the regret or sorrow one might expect from a man facing the weight of his actions. The atmosphere was tense, a palpable mix of grief and outrage, as lead prosecutor Geardine Small took to the floor. Her voice was steady, slicing through the silence like a scalpel. In her opening statements, she painted Richard as a master manipulator, a man who had shamelessly paraded his supposed grief before the cameras, all the while knowing the sinister truth that lay beneath his home. Her words were precise, each syllable deliberate, like an artist carefully selecting colors for a masterpiece. The evidence was damning. Forensic analyses revealed the grim details of Tina's final resting place, a clandestine grave beneath the stairs, encased in concrete. The jury visibly recoiled as images of the excavation were presented, each photo a haunting testament to the horrors concealed within the mundane structure of domestic life. The meticulous nature of Richard's cover-up was dissected. The depth of the grave, the concrete, the new wall, all meticulously crafted, not with love or respect, but with a chilling precision to conceal his crime. In stark contrast, the defense painted Richard as a man overwhelmed, a narrative that seemed flimsy against the mountain of evidence. Defense counsel Brendan Greene argued the lack of intent, a desperate grasp at the frayed edges of a narrative that unraveled with every new revelation. Richard, exercising his right not to testify, remained a silent specter in the proceedings, his silence speaking volumes. As the trial progressed, the emotional toll became evident. Tina's family, seated just feet from the man who had stolen their loved one, bore the weight of shared grief. Each day in court was a reminder of the vibrant life that had been extinguished and hidden away like an inconvenient secret. The testimonies were a relentless tide of sorrow and anger, each witness adding a layer to the already heavy atmosphere. Perhaps the most haunting moments were the video clips, 14 in total, of Richard's media appearances, his tearful appeals for Tina's safe return echoing through the courtroom. The juxtaposition of his professed love and the brutal reality of his actions was jarring. The jury, a cross-section of society tasked with delivering justice, watched each clip with a mix of disbelief and disdain. Deliberations began on a somber Tuesday afternoon, the courtroom empty but for echoes of the stories it had housed. The jury's verdict, delivered 3 days later, was a unanimous condemnation, guilty of murder. The word hung in the air, a definitive judgment on a sordid chapter of deceit and betrayal. Outside, beneath the steely sky of Dublin, Tina's family gathered, their faces etched with relief and the lingering shadow of loss. Sarah Howard, representing the collective voice of a grieving family, spoke with quiet dignity. Tina, she said, was a kind soul, and today justice had finally been served. The weight of her words hung heavy, a testament to a life remembered not for its tragic end, but for the light Tina had brought into the world. As the crowd dispersed, the cold wind carried with it whispers of resolution, a reminder that while justice had been served, the scars of loss would endure. Yet, in their hearts, Tina's loved ones carried the warmth of her memory, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of her untimely demise. The truth has set her spirit free. The wheels of justice, though slow and grinding, inexorably caught up with the one who thought he could evade them. Beneath the somber skies of Dublin, a family's heartbreak found solace in the arms of justice, where darkness gave way to a new dawn.